Okay, so now the installation has been completed. So now that the installation is completed, what we have to do now is to, first of all, let me close my terminal. Then I'll open folder for my VS Code, and I'll simply navigate to the new folder that was created, which is a training folder. Okay, so when I open the training folder, it's going to open the fresh Laravel application that was just installed for me. Okay, so you can see that everything remains the same. If you are used to the former version, everything remains the same. And if you are new to it, you see that Laravel crafts a very nice application with every file that you need in place. Okay, with the dependencies and uh, every library that you're going to need to work. Okay, now, like I said earlier, the reason why I'm making this video is not really for those of us that are new to Laravel, but for those of us that have been working with Laravel, that might find the new changes, the changes that are made between the version 7 and version 8 are difficult. Okay, so we just want us to go through it together. So if you are new, please pardon me. I'm not really going to explain a lot of things in details. Okay, so if we come back to the Laravel documentation, okay, normally if I'm not using my XAMPP to work, I can run this PHP artisan save and it will save my application using localhost and a port number. Okay, now for us to see that fresh copy of Laravel application, already I created a virtual host. If you don't know how to create a virtual host, thank you. The first video in this series is how to create a virtual host. Okay, so you can just take a glance through it. Okay, so I created a virtual host training.com, and this is the fresh copy of the Laravel. Okay, that was installed. Now, if we look at the application uh, structure, normally if we come to our resources and we come to view, you only have the welcome.blade.php, which is the first page that we're seeing here as the only view here. Okay, so we have some of our JS and the CSS file there, and as well as the language. Okay, now if I take you back to the earlier versions, let's say for instance, we go to version 5.4. If we want to make authentication, that is what we actually need now is authentication here. Okay, so create a very good authentication. So authentication can be done by simply going to security authentication. You see, we'll often run a command php artisan make auth. Okay, php artisan make auth is going to create your authentication folder where you have your authentication files like your login file, your register, forgot password, and things like that. Okay, but this is for the earlier versions. Okay, now if we come to, I think, from version 6 and version 7, the whole structure of the application changed in such a way that in the authentication part of Laravel was now added to the Laravel UI, which is a separate package. That is to say, if you install Laravel from version 6, version 7, if you install Laravel, you have to also install the Laravel UI with Composer, okay, on your application before you have access to uh, the authentication. Okay, now if you come to your front end, now you see front end scaffolding. Okay, front end scaffolding. Now on the front end scaffolding, remember we are still in version 7. Okay, and the front end scaffolding, we normally do the composer required. Okay, this one if you require a specific version and above. Okay, but you can just run computer required Laravel UI if you are using version 7 point something. Okay, now after doing that, you also scaffold Bootstrap Vue and React using the UI, the Laravel UI. That's the package that is installed. Okay. Now, if you need your authentication with a particular scaffolding, you can simply just say uh, hyphen hyphen auth with anyone you choose. Okay, any of these front end scaffolding you choose. You can choose Bootstrap, you can choose Vue, you can choose React. Okay. Now, this is one of the major change. This is one of the major change in the 8.x. Okay, in the 8.x. In the 8.x, things are no longer done this way. Okay, so let's go to the version 8. You see, say page not found. Okay, so if I come to the front end, I no longer see the front end scaffolding here. Okay, so now when I come to security and I come to authentication, you find out that Laravel has taken a new step in working with authentication simply by using another package called the Jetstream. Okay, now it's advisable you go to the Jetstream documentation. Okay, you can simply visit the Jetstream documentation and read more about Jetstream. Okay, now so you can go through this link here, but I'm not really going to go into that now. But what you know is with the Jetstream, if you install the Jetstream as you required Jetstream package on your Laravel application, now you have two options. You can either install the LiveWire or the initial. Okay. Now let me just take a little glance on this. Now when you see available stack, you see LiveWire plus Blade and initial plus View. So it depends on what you're trying to do, depend on the language you want to use. Okay, that does not mean that if you install the LiveWire, you cannot use maybe React on it. You can still do that. Okay, but since we'll be working with Vue, I would like to install the Jetstream with the initial.js plus Vue. Okay, so with that, if we need that, we'll simply run this command on our application. Okay, but first of all, we have to require this because without installing this, you cannot run this command. Okay, so we have to copy this and go to our application. Okay, which is this. Open up your terminal, then you paste the command and hit enter. Okay, so I'll wait for this to install. It might take a little time actually. So wait for it to install and in the next clip continue.